ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time for What Do You Call It? Podcast!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It? Podcast. I'm your host, GB, and I'd like all the listeners to know it's coming home. The Euros have started. I'm in a good mood today, and today's guest is a true veteran of pro wrestling. Please give it up for the franchise player, Shady Nattrass. How you doing today, mate? You all right?
Doing all right, man. Are you?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. It's the weekend. Can't complain at all. Just before we do talk wrestling, I just wanted to ask you, who do you think will win Euro 2020?
As much as I'd like to say England, I think Italy might come away with it.
That's a good shout, mate. That's a good shout. I mean, I know they looked good yesterday. I'm sort of leaning towards more Portugal, maybe. I want to say Belgium, but I just don't think Belgium defensively are as good as everyone else. So, I mean, not saying they're the worst, but compared to Italy. So it'd be interesting. Be very interesting. I like seeing England progress, but I think it's going to be a lot tougher than people think. But fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So, as I see in your t-shirt, before we do talk about your career and yourself, I just want to ask the listeners, why do you hate wrestling fans?
Well, it started originally at Target Wrestling when I had turned into a heel because I was sick of being in my hometown wrestling international. The fans cheered for them every month. They still preferred the favourites from the TV.
That's fair. That's fair. It does happen. As a regular watcher and I attend a lot of live shows, I will find myself cheering, unfortunately, the international stars as opposed to the homegrown talent. So I understand your frustration as a UK talent. So it could probably fuck off a bit. But no, I just wanted to ask because I saw it and it sort of stood out to me. So I had to ask. So you've been involved in the wrestling business for nearly 20 years. Is that correct? Just to double check.
Yeah. Starts 20 year next month.
Oh, okay. Nice. 20th anniversary. And now that you are able to do live wrestling, have you got anything planned for the anniversary?
We've got a show, maybe I think it's about 4 days before the exact date of the 20th anniversary. I think it was the 21st of July, 2001 was my first one. And we have a Target Wrestling show on the 17th of July. So it's 4 days before, and hopefully it'll be a good turnout and a nice win for myself on my anniversary.
Nice, man. Hopefully you get the W there. So what actually made you a wrestling fan in the first place? Sort of rewind the clocks here. So we've just talked about the anniversary, but let's go back to the beginning, even before you became a wrestler. What made you a fan?
It was a mixture between the entertainment and the sporting contest.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably 91, 92, where WCW was on ITV on a Saturday night, and it was late at night, so my parents would record it for me and play that VHS over and over again, and that just started it. And I've got 3 brothers, so once we all started enjoying watching it, it kind of overtook us, and we might have wrecked the house a few times.
So do not try us at home when over all your heads. And I bet that was fun for your parents. Did any of them become wrestlers by any chance?
Yeah. All 4 of us have wrestled. My niece has been a valet. My parents have drove the ring van. My mum sold tickets and merch. My girlfriend sold merch. My girlfriend designed my t-shirt here.
Nice. I like it.
And yeah, it is a family thing for us. And now that we've reached this stage where we know what we're doing, we're enjoying the Target Wrestling shows. And I like the fact that now my kids can see me doing what I enjoy doing. and they go to school, and there's not many other parents that can say that they're a wrestler.
My dad gets body slammed on the weekend.
My youngest daughter, she's actually been to wrestling shows from the age of 4 days old. So I have a photo of her and Ricochet from 5 days old, and like they're the memories for me now. It's about the moments that wrestling can bring.
No, that's cool, man. I was going to ask later, but I'll ask it now because you have mentioned Target Wrestling. Is this a promotion that you would call home?
Yes.
If so, what is it that makes it a special place for you?
Well, it's actually run by my brother. He's the booker in charge, and it's had several people help him over the years. But I, being a homegrown talent, I've kind of been the more experienced out of the team that we've trained up. So I've been fortunate to be in the position to work the big names. But now we're progressing to the next level where our trainees can work with international stars. Like we've had trainees work with Raven, Too Cool, Blue Beanie, MJF. So it's cool for us to be able to sit back and watch our hard work pay off by having these people have these big matches.
It must make you feel like, in a way, like a proud parent, seeing your children grow up,
Yeah, absolutely. And we do take pride in our trainees because we know how hard it is. And back, like we actually started training in 1999, paying over the odds to join a wrestling school. Never mind paying the weekly fee that was on top of that. The place had no insurance. It was in a boxing ring. We'd wrestle for an hour and a half, and it got to the point where the guy that was running it just basically unlocked the door, let us in, and then went, and then came back to lock up later. And then one week he just didn't turn up. So we had to find somewhere else to go. So we ended up going to Stoke, which is a bit of a trek from Carlisle. So we'd have a 3-hour drive, 5 hours most weeks on mats, and then 3 hours back. But it got us started, and it's what we wanted to do.
That's commitment, mate. Honestly, like, I think people forget as well. I mean, I've only done training once, and that was enough for me. But I think fans in general, not the ones that you hate, but in general, do sometimes forget what you have to go through. No, it's not. It's not all glamorous. Like, the training is fucking hard. So for you to do that, then drive to Stoke to Carlisle, just this, can't imagine it being fun, mate.
But that's kind of. I do sometimes think it's too easy now for wrestling. We got into the business because we wanted to be in the business, and now you can just there's a training school 5 minutes down the road. I'll just turn up there, and you do see some trainees. I know some. We've had ones that come to our school, and like we've also trained in various other places. But you see people that they don't want it enough for me, and I'm not saying that. I'm not saying everybody has to want to be WWE superstar, but you have to be able to commit to try as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I've been offering to help people, like on social media.
Yeah, I've seen you do that because I've seen like other wrestlers. I'm not going to mention them, but they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll review your matches. I'll help you."
Yeah.
But you've been doing times like this as well, and I think that's fucking awesome that you've been doing that.
And it is something I enjoy doing. We didn't get taught anything. We didn't get taught about match structure and psychology and things. Like, we didn't even get told how long the matches were going to be at first. So we just kind of went out there. For likes of myself, who's had the experience of being with a variety of names. Do you know what I mean? We've got people like Great O'Khan's in New Japan now, Jeff Cobb, but then I've worked with Al Snow, Jay Lethal,
Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, all different styles. But we've been in the ring, like I've been in the ring with them, so I can take bits of what everybody said, and that's how I work myself. So I want to try and help people to even just like open their eyes to them to go, oh, I didn't think of that. I have no qualms with anybody who doesn't follow what I say. If they don't want to, that's up to them.
Yeah.
But I'll give them my opinion, and wrestling's subjective, so it's up to them what they how they want to present themselves.
Yeah.
And I think pretty much every person that I've done it for so far has said, I never thought of that, or oh, I didn't think about it like that. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to open people's eyes to different ways of doing things, rather than going, oh, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that. Because that's not constructive. That doesn't help people. If the wrestlers are better, that means the shows are better, which means that more people come in the door, which means the fans get a better experience, which means there's more money being made for the promoters, which means there's more money being made for the wrestlers. There's more shows to be on. Everybody wins. Literally everybody wins. There's no downside to people being better.
Yeah, no, I like your take on that as well, because I think, some people, wrestling is subjective, but I think some wrestlers cannot take criticism. But at the same time, if you're going to give criticism, be constructive. Don't just say your match was shit.
That's my example all the time. Like, if a fan doesn't like a match, that's fine, because their taste. But to say I don't like it because it was shit, that doesn't help anybody. And I do understand it, because you can watch a match and be frustrated because you're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
If you're willing to go, look, this is my opinion. I think if they did this, I'd enjoy it more. And you know what I mean? There's wrestlers I don't like watching, but I'm not going to say, oh, I don't like him because he's shit. I'll say, I don't like him because I don't understand why he does this.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to the rest of like his character. Or do you know what I mean? It's like I've really nitpick on things. and but that's what I do. I do that when I watch wrestling for myself. I nitpick my stuff. If you ever watch my match with Ricochet, just before the finish, there's a split second that nothing goes wrong, but it doesn't happen how it was going to happen. And it really annoyed me. And nobody else even notices it, but it annoys me, because I want to kind of cut down on anything in my matches where people can go, oh, well, that's fake. That's rubbish. He can't do that, whatever. And if I can see them, that means other people can see them. But yeah, that's like, back when Facebook was first becoming a thing, like YouTube, I had to upload a YouTube match in 2 parts, because that's how bad YouTube was. I would send my matches off to wrestlers on Facebook. Just, hey, any chance if you have a spare bit of time. And I got some feedback, and now I want to pass that on. And with the last year, I've wanted to stay relevant. So I've tried to be more active online.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to sort of give that feedback as well. I think, as we've said before, like a lot of wrestlers, I think more the younger ones, they don't want to hear anything negative, because we do live in that sort of, everyone needs to be protected. Sort of, your opinion, even if it's just an opinion, but some people just don't like to hear it, even if it's good or bad. But I think that's why I do genuinely like your social media. It's good. I really enjoy it. One thing I do want to ask as well, because you talked about your training as well. What were some of the, besides the traveling, what were some of the other things that were some of the biggest challenges for you when it came to training to be a wrestler? So,
like I said, we didn't really get taught anything. We got taught like your basics, and like literally the mechanical side of it. We got taught how to tie up, to do your holds, and that was pretty much it. And then you kind of get thrown in the deep end, and you do, like, we were lucky, because by the time we were wrestling, we had kind of figured out by ourselves at home how it worked. So we kind of, okay, if he goes to suplex me, if I like help, it's going to be easy for me. Because if somebody's trying to suplex you and they force you over, it's going to hurt a lot more than you're helping yourself.
Yeah. So
we kind of picked that up by ourselves, and we already had an idea of selling and things. So we feel like we kind of taught ourselves enough to get the progression to to at least appear ready. But yeah, it was a tough time, and as I said, nobody told you anything. You just kind of got thrown in the deep end, and that's fine. I can wrestle now. I don't like people go on the argument of pre-planning matches and things. I'm happy either way. If you want to plan your match, fine. I might not like it. Might not go to plan because the fans might not be into it. If you have an idea, at least you've got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
When I wrestled Al Snow was like my favorite wrestler growing up.
Yeah.
So basically, I was shitting myself, and I had seen the likes of Tough Enough and things like that, where I had seen how hard he was on the trainees and things. So
yeah, proper strict.
Yeah, I was really nervous, and one of the things with Al is his sense of humor is really, really dry. So you never know if he's joking or not. But then we're planning the match backstage, and I went like loosely planning the match. We had a start and a finish. And he says, "Just call whatever you want out there. I might not do it." so I just sat there pretending I was full of confidence. And at the time, I was still a face. And we were in Carlisle, my hometown. Got in the ring, and he got in the ring. And then the ref comes over, and he says, "Al says you're the heel now." So I shit myself again because I had to come back the month after as the good guy again. So it's like, quickly think on the fly, how do I do this? And I was just a more aggressive version of myself, no cheating, but as I say, appeared more aggressive than Al did. So it looked like I was more of a bad guy than him, and it all worked. And then this was another thing with the asking for feedback, because I knew what Al was like. I asked him how it went after the match, and he just said good. So I kind of like just stood there a bit confused. And I worked a show with him the day after, not wrestling. I didn't wrestle him the second day.
Yeah.
So, but I went up to him and I said, "Look, Al, can you tell me something that I did wrong yesterday?" And he gave us a tip. He gave us just this small thing. He says it happened in the match he had the second night. He says, "Just think about that." And it was like, that's it. That's fine. You've given me something I can work on. That means that it's even more of a positive note that I had the match.
If there was something that he wants to critique, do you feel like he would have definitely said it, or do you feel like, what he said was, okay, I actually feel like I did do a good job?
Well, I do think he would have said, because it's no loss to him.
Yeah, that's true.
From that point of view, because by that point the match has already been and gone.
Yeah.
So, and I had overheard him pointing out a few things to some other wrestlers, and like said what he thought they'd done wrong, and he even said, "Oh, you could have done this," and because we did that in our match and Shady did it perfectly. So I was like,
"Oh, okay."
I just sat there with like a smug look on my face.
I can imagine.
But yeah, and it was like such a tiny thing, but
yeah.
I think it was something along the lines of every time he reached to go and get the head, I'd like grab his arm to kind of like pull him away from it, and it was such like, you think about it, such a minor detail, but for me it made sense at the time, and then obviously Al agreed that it does, because he's had that sort of match over and over again.
That's wicked, man. Now that you have mentioned Al Snow, I do want to ask as well now, basically discuss more of your international opponents that you have wrestled against. Basically want to know what they like to work with. Some guys like Shane Strickland, Tommy End, recently released as the Black, Chris Masters, and a personal favourite of mine, Paul London. I genuinely love him. I love Lundrex. I love the Ring of Honor. One of my first favourite independent superstars that I really liked. But I just want to hear from you, the man that's been inside working with them inside the Square Circle. What was it like for you?
Okay, I'll save Mr. London till last, because that's probably he is a genuine. He's one of my best friends now. So it's like, Shane Strickland. I'd only watched a few of his matches before I worked with him. But we had a chemistry right away, and it worked. And like the way we worked the match, everything flowed perfectly. And like Bob Holly was on the show, and I wouldn't have said the match was a Bob Holly match. He enjoyed it and said how good it was. So
to get that feedback of him, Mr. Serious.
The match itself, I wouldn't have said it was a match that Bob Holly would have been a fan of. But I think he understood the work and the story that we put into it. So yeah, like as I say, really good chemistry with him, and it's always a bonus when you have that thing where you click right away.
Yeah.
And it do, like if you can click in the first few seconds of your match, then the rest's just like a piece of cake.
Just quickly then, what was Bob Holly like? I love him, and I know he's not Mr. Popular online, but I fucking love Bob Holly. His book is amazing.
I can't say enough good things about Bob. I actually spent I spent quite a few days with him actually. He was actually in Carlisle for a few days before, maybe a week. So like I went to the gym with him a few times, and so like just hanging out with him. It's bizarre going to Asda with Bob Holly and.
I don't know why that makes me laugh, sorry.
The strange look he gets when he orders a packet of chicken and some baby wipes. But no, honestly, I can't say enough good things about Bob. He worked a show, like I dropped him off at the train, so he went to get the train to go to work another show. And he was like, can I leave my second suitcase here? And like, will you look after it for us? I was like, yeah, it's no issue to me because it's only a suitcase. And he's like, oh, there's a box of protein cookies in there. Just help yourself to them. Just have the lot. And I was like, you didn't have to. It's like, but yeah.
He's a sweetheart as well. Yes, I'm glad I set up for Holly online.
I understand how he can put people the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's just the sort of person he is. And yeah, and as I say, I had no issues with him whatsoever. And he did actually wrestle my brother. So I did enjoy him chopping the shit out of him.
Wicked. Do you know what I'm going to do? Just like I might do a Photoshop of you and Bob Holly and Asdas. That's just for a thumbnail. I might have to do it this evening. But sorry, who? Oh yeah, we've got to talk about some other names as well. Sorry, Bob Holly, man. Much love, Bob Holly. Chris Masters. Yes.
Yeah, once again, he's another person that people either love or hate, and I really enjoyed working with him. He had an issue with the promoter the day before, so at first he was a little bit frustrated, shall we say, but as soon as we got going and like putting ideas together, and if I suggest something to somebody who's been in the WWE and they say, "Oh yeah, that sounds good. I've never thought of that before." Like I'm like, yes. And so and the match itself really enjoyable. It was just a Chris Masters match, but like there was little things in it, like I chopped him and then I swallowed my hand because he's like a wall. So that makes sense. And like you could see like by his face at the time, he was like, yeah, he enjoyed that as well. But, yeah, just little things that make matches enjoyable. I'm trying to think who else you mentioned on your list.
Tommy End and Paul London.
Okay, Tommy End. The first time I worked with Tommy, it was actually like I think maybe a couple of days before, a couple of days after my youngest was due to be born. So we were maybe an hour and a half outside of Carlisle. My heavily pregnant girlfriend was at the show. I had an absolute nightmare because everything that like Tommy was coming up with, I was just going blank. Like, I just thought, oh, he thinks I am the worst.
Yeah.
Then we had the match, and it was fine. It wasn't. I didn't enjoy it because it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be.
Yeah, I understand that.
But I was definitely preoccupied.
I can imagine, right? I can imagine.
And like afterwards, he give us some tips and things, and like don't get us wrong, some of the stuff I knew that I could have done these things better.
Yeah.
But and then I worked with him again in a three-way match with Martin Kirby maybe a month later, and just the fact that like he remembered my moves and my spots. Like if he throws out ideas that he knows my stuff with, like what do you mean? I'm from Carlisle. I'm just a regular person to me. I'm not a superstar. And the fact that he remembered my stuff, I was like, okay, this is going to be better. I can be a bit more relaxed in this match. And Kirby's awesome as well.
Yeah.
And we just clicked together. And like for the three of us, it was a lot of fun.
Nice, man.
So,
And your best friend, your BFF. I want to hear about him.
So, well, there's so much to this build-up. First time I was going to work, Paul, was 2014, and maybe a week previous, I had spent 2 weeks with glandular fever, with like a temperature through the roof, like hallucinating, couldn't eat. So, luckily, got back to what I thought was full health. Went to the show, did like pretty much like the first spot. He gives us a baseball slide on the outside the ring. I'm lying on the floor, and I'm like, my chest's on fire. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die here. This is going to be horrendous. So, in fact, I've missed a little bit of fun before that. So he came to the ring with his usual going around everybody in the crowd.
Yeah.
So I'm sat in the ring, and I'm like, okay, I've sat and I've paused for some photos with the cameraman. He's taken a long time. He actually got stuck out the fire door. When he got back in, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out as well. So I went out, and like I was still a face at the time. So I was high-fiving people in the crowd. He was high-fiving people in the crowd. We came to each other, high-fived each other, and like taking selfies with people in the crowd. And it's just like, yeah, this is fun. People are going to remember this. So yeah, then I'm nearly dying out in the ring. We brawl on the outside. He rolls me back in. He does a slingshot Oklahoma roll type move and drives his shoulder into my elbow, and I think I break my arm. So like I'm in agony, and he's like, roll out the ring, like check on yourself. So I'm like, I'm outside, and I'm okay, it's sore, but I can carry on. So I go back in, tell him I can go. And he says, you're gonna have to like keep track and just keep me right. Fine. So do a few things. Is like every time he went to do a move, are you okay? Then so Jeremy, he checked on us the whole time, and then he went, I forgot what's next. So it's like, luckily I was keeping track, but I didn't want the pressure of like being in agony and having to keep up. And then we had the match, and wrestling was like that. I got it. I like 14 years in, I understood, and it changed everything. Like at one point, I was just like, he maybe kicked out of a pinfall or something, and I'm sat on the apron, on the canvas. He's lying next to us selling, and it like I can like picture it vividly even now. And it was like that's when I realized, slow down. Everybody always tells you to slow down, and you think you slowed down.
Yeah.
And I was literally sat down, and people were biting at it for us to get back up and do the next thing. And it was like, that's it. It's that simple. Then we had the match, and he cuts a promo, and I'm like crouching down in the corner, and the way that the ring was at the venue, opposite diagonally, just behind the ring post, is where my mum would stand, because it's like walking distance from her selling tickets, so she'd always just stand there and watch. And she said, when he was talking and put me over, he said, my mum says, your lip was going like it was when you used to when you were little. So like I was a mess. Like we just had this emotional connection.
Yeah.
And I was in tears, and like we must have hugged for like a good 5 minutes afterwards, just because it was like we had something there. And yeah, and like so that moved on, and then 2 years later, I had turned heel, won one of the titles at Target Wrestling. This is where I had your matches against your Ricochet, your Jay Lethal, your Shane Strickland, and I was doing the heel thing where I'd find a cheap way to finish, either get DQ'd or the ref would get knocked out, and I'd slightly change it every time. So say 1 month the referee went down and I hit them with the belt. He came around when I pinned him. The month after, the ref would go down. I tried to hit them with the belt, but they duck, hit me with something, then I kick out. And so it's like kind of the same story, but progression every time.
Yeah.
So then it got to like the leading up to the November show, I announced that I wanted an opponent from like a big name opponent, because I'd wrestled all these names and I wasn't getting the recognition I deserved, kind of thing. And then it ended up being Paul that was the mystery opponent. And when he came through the curtains, the place just went nuts. Like, I was stood in the ring with goosebumps. And it was maybe 4 days away from being exactly 2 years since our first match. And like, this is long-term booking here.
Yeah.
Totally by accident. It just worked out that way. And then we did, in the match, I went through all these like cheap finishes, and he kicked out every time. So like all my stuff.
So when
work.
you had the spacesuit on?
Yeah. No, it was before that. It was before he had the spacesuit on. He's got his jumpsuit on now. His grey and red one. And then he beat me for the title. And people went nuts because like the import won the title, and it never happens. So the way that we built it up, it was just perfect, and then it was electric. But then we have some details in the match as well. So when we come up with the plan, okay, I want you to give us a back body drop on the outside, and I'm like, nah, I'm not back dropping you on concrete at all. There's a stage though. I'll back drop you on the stage. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Back drop him on the stage. Referee says, Paul's bleeding. He busted his head open. There was blood everywhere. And like, I just sat with my head in my hands. I'm like, oh no. So we carry on, do the finish. He hits his shooting star.
Yep.
Knocks me out. Legitimately knocks me out.
Oh.
I don't come round till after the 3 count anyway. So it was lucky he was winning. And it was just like, why can't we just have like a nice, safe match?
Someone's gonna die.
It's like, and it just we just had this chemistry that works. And yeah, like, I'd wrestle Paul every day, and he's just so good. And
I mean, if you do, you're not probably gonna make it to 50, but
yeah.
it'll be worth it though.
Yeah, but, do you know what I mean? Like, nobody has anything bad to say about Paul. I know he doesn't enjoy today's wrestling as much as he used to enjoy it, and I think that like makes him lose the will to do it, if that makes sense. Like, I've told him, just like pack in all the stupid stuff, just do. You know what I mean? He's got so much charisma. I wish I had like half of it. Do that. He did a rumble at PCW with his arm in a sling, and like he basically like kept hold of a microphone the whole time. And people loved it. It's like, do that. Don't hurt yourself.
He does have that likable connection with the fans. I mean, I myself, I think he's fucking awesome. I really do like him. And that the fact that you two sort of have this rivalry, but friendship as well, makes me happy. And I was really glad to hear you talk about him the way that you have. And I can tell that you're genuinely smiling about him as well. Yeah,
like, honestly, like, yeah, I'll talk about my family a lot, because it's, do you know what I mean? For me, I have wrestling and I have my family, and I'm not really bothered about anything else. That's what I need in my life. And then like, I've got like Paul London like on a video call, and like he's talking to my daughter and stuff, and you know what I mean? She's like, yeah, I know your friend Paul, Dad. 5-year-old. Times, calm yourself down.
That's awesome, man. I really enjoyed that. I want to ask, now that we had a good conversation with the international stars. I know there's a few more names, but I actually want to focus the British wrestling scene. It's had its ups and downs over the years. You've been involved in the British wrestling scene throughout all of it. I want to ask you, what have been some of your career highlights in the UK, some of your favourite locations? Do you also prefer working family shows or a more mature crowd?
Okay, well, that question, for me, family show. Like, that could be my bread and butter. That it's especially with my character. There, I can do the easy things. I can quite happily wind some kids up all day, and like, we at Target Wrestling, we have like a good mix of different shows, like kinds of shows.
Mm.
They're all like, we don't sell any shows as an over 18 show, but the likes of the shows in Carlisle, I mean, there's a bar, do you know what I mean? You do get groups of lads that go to the wrestling, have a few drinks, and then go up the town afterwards.
Mm.
So you do get some of the swearing and everything.
Yeah.
But you get as much swearing from the kids. One of their favourites is shouting "shitty mattress."
Sorry, I'm 32 years old and I'm laughing like a school kid.
Hey, I made a T-shirt and told them I hated it, and they all bought it. So, but and then like, I like the way an over 18s crowd shows. A lot of them will either like it or they don't like it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a group of kids that want to be entertained, you have to learn what's going to entertain them. So that's where you learn. If you go and do all your wrestling stuff, they'll maybe clap, but you need something for them to go home and go, oh, didn't I hate that bad guy? Oh, he was my favorite. Or, do you know what I mean? That's what you want.
Yeah.
Like, I've had parents come up to me complaining because I wouldn't get a photo with their child. It would annoy me as a parent.
Mm.
But the fact that child was so angry that they went and told the parent about it.
But you've done your job.
Done my job. They're going to come next time and be annoyed at me again. They already know who I am. Makes it easier.
Mm.
So then, you know what I mean? The 5 people next to them that weren't at the show, they're just going to join in because this one kid hates us. And it's that's what it is. It's about getting that emotional reaction from people, and kids are the best because they don't give a shit. And you know what I mean? It is like, don't get us wrong. I've had like little kids try and like karate kick me in the middle of a match and stuff. And it's like, it's a good job I'm professional, or else I'd have pushed that child out the way.
We're not filming the show, are we? Just like.
Although there was one moment with kids that made us laugh. Well, laugh to myself in the middle of my match. So I was heel, and the lad I was working with was just one of our trainees. Halfway through the match, loads of kids that were like giving me abuse, they all started shouting "Speedo" because I wear trunks.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So I'm in the ring. I've got my opponent in a chin lock, and all I hear is "pedo, pedo." What? But it's like, oh, that's what they say.
Yeah, that's what.
And I was like, oh my god, that could have went so bad.
So that is one chant in wrestling you do not want.
But yeah, it's not like you could even like mention it during the match because it's like, I don't want the rest of them shouting that I'm a pedo.
No. Imagine that, like after the show, meet and greet. Oh, it's the pedo.
But yeah, that was a funny moment for me with connecting with kids, and not the way that it sounded like I was connecting with them.
No.
But yeah, like when we first started, it was the days where you would mainly work in men's club or sports hall, and you know what I mean, you were lucky to get 100 people in, and you know what I mean, that it was tough, but we were wrestling. That's all I wanted to do was wrestle. And at that time, going to WWE was never an option, so I never put all my eggs in that basket. I just went and did what I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
And so then, like, doing them shows, seeing them build up, and like the first international name that I got to work with was Petey Williams, and that was Middlesbrough Town Hall for WCW, and that was like, it was so much fun. And I like the pressure of going in there and kind of seeing if I could.
How was the Canadian Destroyer, by the way? What is it? It looks like it could go wrong so easily, but what is it? What's it actually like for someone who is actually taking it?
For me, it's one of my favourite moves to take. That
really?
Reverse Hurricanranas and Canadian Destroyers are my favourite. It's
I wasn't expecting that. No, that's fair.
I feel like I can take them quite cleanly and safely. And Jimmy, you're always going to get a reaction
It does
from
always pop the crowd. I mean, I do. I think
um,
I do see it too much now. That's one thing as a fan myself. But
yes, and yeah, it is overdone.
yeah,
Um, it's the finding something a way to make it creative.
mm,
Like myself and Josh Terry have done it on the apron a couple of times. I did a spot with Benji, which I came up with the venue that we used to use at Target when, like I said, had the stage. The stage was literally right behind the ring.
yeah.
So because I watched too much wrestling,
Hmm.
I'd seen a clip from Mexico where there was a lad on the second rope leaning over the top rope,
Hmm.
and his opponent ran up the aisle and jumped over and gave him the destroyer off the ropes. Benji, do you fancy doing a Canadian destroyer while you jump off the stage over me and then hit me with it? And he was like, hey, I'll give it a go. And we did it, and then people just lost their minds because it just looked ridiculous. Um,
But
and yeah,
you would there's no damage or
no, it was perfect. One thing with me is I only do something if I'm confident with it.
yeah,
And I need to know the logistics of it. So in my mind, okay, this is how it's going to work. And like we had like a setup of it, and it was just like, yeah, this is going to be good.
yeah.
Yeah, totally fine. But yeah, it's one of them moves that like it looks nasty, and it's not it's not for me anyway.
Mm.
I'm sure some people were.
I haven't seen it go wrong necessarily. Reverse Hurricane Run, as you said, that I've seen botched so much to the point where I'm kind of sick of it being done because it rarely looks good anymore.
I've had a couple where it's gone wrong, for various reasons. But yeah, I think if it's somebody that I'm used to working with, like it's something me and Josh Terry always do as well.
Mm.
And yeah, I enjoy doing it. And I think one of the things is people watch me wrestle, and then they forget that although I don't do a lot, if you see me do a backflip onto my head, you have to kind of go, Jesus, he's just like nearly killed himself. The key to my wrestling character is I can wrestle, and it annoys people because I wind them up that they hate me, and then they're annoyed that I've had a good match.
For fuck's sake, I enjoyed that.
And it's brilliant because it makes them want to watch you, but they want to watch you as a bad guy because they don't want to cheer for you. They enjoy booing you, but they also get to watch a good match.
Nice.
Like once it's for them it's win-win again.
Yeah.
So in venues, like for me, the venue in Carlisle where we used to run Target, it was called The Venue, and it was pretty much a nightclub. It rarely got used in Carlisle, and like it was perfect for wrestling. Like the whole setup looked like it was made for the shows. And once we got going, and like we were getting like 200-300 every month, the atmosphere was just you couldn't ask for any better. And that was, people were wanting to come to the shows to experience it. They weren't even bothered about the wrestling. Some of them didn't even like wrestling. They came for the night of enjoyment.
Yeah.
And if you can sell wrestling tickets to people that don't like wrestling, then you're doing something right. And that's something that I think's missed by a lot of people. Is wrestling's niche. It's a niche market. Why would you like aim for that small percentage of people when you've got millions of people that don't know about you? Do you know what I mean? Do something that'll get people through the door. You know what I mean? If it is why you pay for an import, you want these people that, oh, it's not WWE. Oh, there's somebody from WWE there. I'll go.
Yeah.
Or there's a celebrity. Why is he on the wrestling show? I don't know, but it's like 2 minutes from my house. I'm going to go. You know what I mean? Do something that gets attention. You know what I mean? I've done radio shows. I've done newspaper interviews. Just put stuff out there and don't aim it at wrestling fans. Aim it at the public, because they're the ones that you want to come and spend the money, because you don't know if, you know what I mean? the dad who buys the local paper might have three young boys who love wrestling. You know what I mean? There you go. You've just sold 4 tickets because the dad's got to go with them.
Mm.
Hey, they all want a T-shirt. Just made more money there.
I can't argue that because I think a lot of people expect, was it like the Field of Dreams sort of saying, like if you build it, they'll come. But that's not the case. You know, you do have to sort of be open minded and not just commit yourself to the diehards. And I feel like some companies do that in modern wrestling, as opposed, oh, he's from New Japan Wrestling. Not everyone watches New Japan Wrestling, you know.
But like I've seen people in Carlisle. I went to an NXT show in Liverpool once.
Mm-hmm.
I got the train from Carlisle, and somebody got on the train from Carlisle with an NXT shirt on, went to the show, and I've never seen them at a Target show in Carlisle. And it's like, how? I don't understand. So there's obviously people that maybe don't know still. And that's you've got to kind of spread the word any possible way.
Yeah, because you can't bring international imports every single day because it's, you know.
Yeah.
I
think that's what a lot of fans do forget. Oh, you should bring such and such. Oh, I mean,
it's
Tommy,
not that easy.
Bring them over. So, yeah, you pay for it and I'll do it.
No, wicked, man. Just to talk about the interview up. Oh yeah. So one thing I was asking as well. Who have been some of your favourite opponents in the British wrestling scene?
I can't go wrong with Jody Fleisch. Jody is just unreal.
Still going strong as well, man.
He's just got better and better.
Yeah.
Then we've got Dean Allmark. Yeah, I've only worked with him on a show once, but when we were training in Stoke, he was one of the first that was helping us. And he's another one that's just got better and better.
Mm.
Then you've got Josh Terry, Josh Morrell on NXT UK, trained by Johnny Moss, but he's like, for me, he's like one of the 2 top high flyers in the country, and people have no idea how good he is because they've only seen him on NXT and he's only give a glimpse of how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then people that have now retired, like once again Kirby, and Carbon was one of my favourites up in the north. He was another one that just was like an outstanding worker, but he was one of those people that had the head full of self-doubt, and you've kind of got to just be able to, you know what I mean? We blag everything in wrestling. Nothing's real. So all our confidence is all the blag. So that's all you've got to do. It is like people think I'm confident because I wrestle, and like, yo, you go in front of hundreds of people, and like, yeah, in my underpants. And it's like I'm definitely like
Speedos, by the way, not pedos.
Like, I am full of, like, I have loads of anxiety about it because I want to do so well, because it's something that I'm really bothered about. I have anxiety. Like, I do my YouTube videos I put one out every Wednesday with has a bit of talk, and then I put a match out. I hate filming them because that's like I hate doing it because anxiety. It needs to be done. So you just have to blag it and then put it out there. And once it's out there, then
hope for the best, isn't it?
Yeah, you really do. But yeah, there's so much good talent in this country, and I think hopefully now that like we've culled a lot of the bad names, not only do we make it safer, we created so many empty spots at the top.
Yeah,
like I'm genuinely excited. Like in a few months, maybe the end of the year, to see who has been on these shows and who's stood out. Because everybody's got a chance to make themselves a star now. Yeah. Because like the problem with the UK scene was everybody used the exact same people. Yeah. And it really annoyed me because there's so much good talent that didn't even get a sniff.
I mean, that's why I didn't really like, no offense if anyone does really like it, but that's why I wasn't really that interested in NXT UK. It was just Progress.
Yes.
It was just literally the same people, and same Rev Pro. I watched, I mean, don't get me wrong, I watched for the first early years in York Hall, because I'm down in Essex, so, you know, not too far of travel. brilliant. But then it got to the same people. I was just like, you know.
And like we're lucky at Target because we have a core of our like experienced workers between ourselves and the trainees that have been who, you know what I mean, they're not called trainees anymore, the wrestlers now. But then we have some trainees as well, and then we bring in carloads from all over, and then you'll get like a big name come in. So like constantly it's fresh, but it's the same core. So it always feels like a Target show, even though it could be a match between two people you haven't seen before. So it's always, you know what I mean, we don't like putting the same matches on that you see everywhere else. Because why come to our show when you could go to somewhere that's maybe a little bit closer to you, or a bigger, you know what I mean, a bigger company. So it's like, yeah, it's a case of fresh for people. We'll see people kind of realize that these spaces are open now. And I hope the promoters all realize we are all here wanting that now. We want to be the ones at the top now because there is a chance. Whereas before it was like, oh, well, they're just going to use the same people over and over. So, you know what I mean? We'll aim for a low card on a big show. Now, why can't we be at the top? And there's so much, like, especially the young talent have the potential to like be outstanding. And that's, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I want to help, because it makes everybody better. And yeah, it's like people like myself and like I think RJ Singh, people like us, and to be honest, I'm trying to think of safe names that have the experience. Dean O'Mark, I said Geordie. We've been around now. We know how it works. We all want to help. So put us there. I mean, any of like them 4 names that I've give, you could put them as a main eventer against an international name. You could also put them in the opening match with a trainee, and you'd get a decent match out of a trainee who might not be as good as the match ends up being.
Yeah.
There's so many of us that like just love wrestling and want it to be as good as it can. So yeah, I say it's exciting, and like I've got a list of names that I want to work with, and especially now, I want as many new matches as possible. I want to be working these people that I've never met. So do you know what I mean? Like, I've spoke to Joe Lando a bit. I can't wait to get to work with him somewhere, just because I think it'll work. He's a sort of opponent that I like working with, and I also think that I can help him solidify his matches. Yeah, and I want to do that with everybody. I want to wrestle a new person every day and just help everybody. It's what, like I say, I love wrestling. That's what I want to do, and I want to have good matches, because for me that's one of the main points of wrestling. I tweeted out the other day, it's the weirdest team sport ever. And I think that after the way that the last year's been and the whole speaking out movement, I think we're going to get less selfish wrestlers. Yeah. Which is better for everybody. I'm quite happy to lose every wrestling match until I retire, because it's not real. And I'm in a position where my character can lose. It just gives me something else to be angry about. So like I'm like,
in a way, it gives you more ammo towards your character.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't work for everybody, but for me, it works. And if I'm against a trainee or a local name, I can give them a big win and help them not only in the ring, but it adds value to them. I actually argued with I wouldn't say argue. I had a disagreement with the promoter at Discovery, because we had a tag match and the show had a raffle gimmick, so all the matches were done by raffle. Yeah. So it was a tag match, me and my partner against, it was Alan, who's the booker at Discovery, the promoter, and Randy Valentine, who's the commentator. Now, my idea was they should beat me. I'll lose clean to them. But they were like, their argument was, but we're not wrestlers. You shouldn't lose to non-wrestlers. And I was like, yeah, I'll definitely lose to a non-wrestler. Especially if it's the promoter, the person in charge beating me. Every time I lose after that, it's all just everybody's against me.
Mm.
But I mean,
It's all a conspiracy sort of thing.
But at the end of the day, he's the boss. So do you know what I mean? We went over. It's a job. That's my argument with, unless there's a good reason why a finish shouldn't go as planned, then you do as you're told.
Mm.
It's a job. You don't go. You know what I mean? You don't start your shift at Tesco and go, oh no, I'm not stocking the shelves today. Like, no, you do what the manager tells you to.
Yeah.
Good job.
Nice, man. I'm now picturing Bret Hart in Tesco. It's like, Vince, I'm not stacking the shelves.
Like, people forget, like, that's the other thing with what I was saying before about like the target audiences and stuff.
Mm.
There's like so many bigger pictures that people don't see. The fans don't see bigger pictures. Like you see somebody complain of a match on Raw because such and such happened, but they don't know what's happening 4 weeks down the line.
Yeah.
Like, don't get us wrong, current day Raw, it's probably got nothing to do with what's just happened. But ideally, if a show is booked properly, 4 weeks down the line at the next big show, whatever, the payoff happens. Do you know what I mean? You've got to allow things to happen. You can't just go, I've seen that, I don't like it. You've got to have an open mind on pretty much everything.
Mm.
It's fair enough if you still don't like it, but at least let them finish telling the story. And
I think we are like, not necessarily us two, but I just think the younger generation are very impatient these days.
Yeah, and as I say, it's tough because you want the wrestling fans want them clips on social media. They want to see the GIFs.
Yeah,
but they also don't want them. They want the long-term storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you want? That's what it is. It is trying to find a way to give as much and as little as possible.
Mm.
Because you've got to save some in the tank for whatever could be happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point a wrestler going in every match doing everything I have, because after 3 matches you get bored, and then, you know what I mean, Hulk Hogan and John Cena, people say about them only having 3-5 moves, whatever. They got where they were by doing that and telling the stories. So you know what I mean? Is it wrong that they've made millions by doing very little? No. Mm-hmm. They've understood their wrestling job. Is it the same market for everybody? No. But, you know what I mean? I only do about 5 moves, but nobody realizes because I just make it look different.
Mm.
And that's it's keeping it, as I said earlier, keeping things fresh. I had somebody make us a top 10 moves video, and it was a struggle because I struggled to have 10 moves. So, but nobody complains because my job's to get booed and to make the good guy look good.
Yeah.
So I don't need to do moves, because for me, the technical reason behind it is, you've done one training session. Do you know what a powerbomb from the top rope feels like? Nope.
Mm-mm.
Do you know what a punch in the face feels like?
What, in real life? Yeah, unfortunately.
So why do a powerbomb off the top rope and the fans go, oh, that looked like it hurt? And then you do a punch in the face, even a worked one, and people go, Jesus, didn't I fucking hit him there?
Mm.
You've got them then. so doing 10 wrestling moves can be nowhere near as useful as doing one, because the fans understand what that one punch in the face feels like. It connects differently to a wrestling move. So you can do all your fancy things as much as you want, but it's the reaction. It's the sell by the wrestler. People might have hit the back on something, or like been rammed into a wall or whatever. They understand what like hitting a wall feels like. They understand that's why a bump on the outside can be so useful, and it's still overused.
Yeah.
Use it once, and then people are like, Jesus, he nearly killed him there, because people are standing on the floor. They know what it feels like. They think the wrestling ring is a trampoline, and it's definitely not. But yeah, people go on about wrestling psychology, and it's just common sense. Trying to make things relate to people. That's all it is. So yeah, it's moves don't mean anything. So just keep things simple, and yeah, do them over and over again until people know what you're doing, and then that means you don't do it the month after, and people think something's totally fresh. And it is. Do you know what I mean? Like if Randy Orton's RKO, everybody knows what he's going to do when he goes for the RKO. So then the time when he doesn't do it, it's like, oh, that was new. And it's like, not really. He's just told you how he's going to set up into a move, and then that's it. It's just getting the fans to think they know what's happening.
Yeah.
And that takes repetition. And that's why wrestlers should do the same moves over and over again. That's what a moveset's for. It's one of the things that like I've been talking to trainees and stuff about, like more advanced stuff, rather than just saying, okay, well, you did this in your match, you did this in the match. Discussing why your character should do this and that. The amount of wrestlers that do moves that make no sense to their finishing move, everything should be built up to it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you do 10 DDTs and then put a figure four leg lock on. Stuff like that. It doesn't make any sense. But then you've got a story if you keep it, if you use a clothesline as a finish.
Yeah.
There you go. You've hurt your arm in a spot. Can't do it now. How's the good guy going to win when he's going to use his arm to hit his finishing move? It's a story, and people shouldn't be scared to tell stories, because that's what we're meant to do. And yeah, like I often go off in tangents about wrestling. It's just
no, I was enjoying it, mate. I was just like, I would ask a question, but I'm talking enjoying what you're saying, and I'm actually agreeing. So,
no, well, that's the thing. Like, everything I try to think of, anybody that I've spoken to has agreed. I'm more than willing for somebody to disagree, and I get to discuss it with them, because I'm more than willing to get a different outlook on things. So it's a mutual thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, like characters and stuff. People should have a reason why the character is what it is. How does that character relate to the moves that they do? Because a lot of people have the character is basically everything until they get in the ring, and then they have a wrestling match.
It is important, very important.
And there's no connection. If you like the one for me, which I tend to use because it's quite a decent one, was Christopher Daniels. Right, I love Christopher Daniels. I think he's brilliant. The Fallen Angel. Yeah. So he comes to the ring in his robe. Yeah. Maybe sometimes like we held like a religious book sometimes. Yeah. Then he'd get in the ring, take his robe off, and be a really, really good independent wrestler. What happened to the Fallen Angel? Where did he go?
Yeah, no, I never really thought about that.
And that's it. That's the depth of wrestling that I think about. And like I'm not saying anything bad about Christopher Daniels.
Oh no. But it is quite funny. It's like, sort of this dark character, religious and blah blah blah. And then he's just like, oh, actually, he's really fucking good in the ring.
and like if that's your character, great. And the fact that like I said before, I think I'm just a regular person. Like the last year has made me realize that people actually care about my wrestling and me as a wrestler. And like I scratch my head about it. Like the fact that even like this interview here, doing podcasts was never a thing I'd even think about until last year when we couldn't wrestle.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, I didn't think anybody cared what I was saying. But having these conversations, people have kind of went, he actually knows what he's talking about.
Mm.
And to say the fact that I'm saying this thing about Christopher Daniels, who's an international wrestler, means that I do know stuff. When I wrestled Roderick Strong, like toughest wrestling match I've ever had. Like I felt like I'd been in a fight. Not because like he tried to hurt me. It's just he goes. He's a machine. And his planned finish was I go for like a cutter. He pushes us off. I'd hit the ropes, come back. He'd hit his jumping knee, punch me in the face, and then hit his finish. So go for the cutter, pushes off the rope, hits us with the knee, a bump because he's just hit me in the face with a knee, and he got annoyed because he didn't get to punch me in the face as well. And like he's telling us afterwards, and I'm like, but you just need me in the face.
Yeah.
And like he had me in an abdominal stretch, so I called hip toss. Then he called drop kick, so I hip tossed him and I threw a drop kick. But he threw a drop kick as well. So I was like, okay, there was a miscue somewhere. So afterwards he said, "Oh no, after you hip tossed me, you were meant to hit the ropes, and I was going to drop kick you." And I was like, I didn't say anything because last thing I want to do is like start arguing with people who. I mean, he was PWG champion at the time.
Yeah.
After being in an abdominal stretch, why would I run against the ropes? It makes no sense. So the obvious thing would be I'd do that. He'd get up off the hip toss because he was fresher, then I'd throw a drop kick. So, like, the more I thought about it, I was like, no, I was right. I was right. So, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to argue with these people that do it for a living because I'm wanting to learn off them, and they'll, you know what I mean, they might never see me again. So having a disagreement with me is going to be irrelevant. So I just kind of let things go.
Brushed it off, sort of. Did you ever speak to him after that again, or was it just that encounter?
I don't think I've seen him since. Like we actually went into the town afterwards and had a few drinks, and like everything was good. There was no like heat or anything. It was all just wrestling. Where you go out there and you do stuff, and then you come back and you talk over, and that's it. That's the professional thing. Just go and do it, and there's no point like falling out with somebody over something that happened in a match because the match is over.
Yeah.
I'm. And do you know what I mean? I've got bigger things to worry about than disagreements with wrestlers.
Life's too short, man.
That's why like my YouTube video is called Pro Wrestling is Real Life, because real life, man. We all have enough going on. We don't. That's why I hate all the negativity in wrestling. People think that I'm like on these interviews and things. People think like I'm this really like enthusiastic, positive person. I'm not. I'm miserable as shit. That's just my fame. It is like, and anybody that like I do my shoot job with, they'd like, no, you're not positive. Like wrestling, like it's what I'm good at. It is, and there's too much people complaining about it. If the people in wrestling are slagging wrestling off, people who don't like it aren't going to want to watch it.
No, I'll get you, man. I'll get you. To wrap the interview up, has been really good interview. Really enjoyed speaking to you. It's bloody hot, isn't it? Or is it not? Oh, wait, is it hot for you as well up there?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
it is.
Yeah, man. It's really hot at the moment. It's a good thing this camera kind of shuts because I think I've got like sweat patches. But one last question, and I shall let you enjoy your evening. Favorite match of your career? I've got a feeling it's gonna be the Paul London one, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, probably. It'll either be my match with Paul or any of my matches with Josh Terry. Josh is like my ultimate nemesis because he's the good-looking, high-flying babyface to my miserable looking, boring ass heel, and it just works.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, and we can both, like, we could wrestle a family show and have the crowd going nuts, and we can wrestle like in front of smart fans and they'll be going nuts. So yeah, it's just our dynamics between me and Josh is always a lot of fun because we have fun putting them together. I'll see clips and just send them to him, and it's like, what do you think? And yeah, and like, as I said, me and Paul always work. I enjoyed going in the ring with Jeff Cobb. He's the strongest wrestler I've ever been in the ring with. I realized after the first suplex I didn't need to spot for him because I'm quite good at getting distance on being suplexed, and I nearly left the ring. Like, he's unreal, and like, genuinely, like, one of the nicest people I've ever met. He's like, honestly, he gave my daughter a Matanza teddy because I told him, like, she watched Lucha Underground with me. She'd be like maybe 2-year-old at the time, and Matanza was a favorite probably because he was the scariest looking one on the show. Like, she was taken aback by him, and yeah, like I was going to bite off him just because she'd won it. So I was going to bite it, and he says, "Is it for your daughter?" And I said, "Yeah," and he just went, "Just have it." And like, do you know what I mean? If that says something to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have wrestling and my kids and my family. And if people are willing to be generous to my kids, then I'm in debt to them. Because people aren't nice. You know, like, do you know what I mean? In real life, people aren't nice. So when somebody is nice, it means a lot. And do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be giving something. It's just being polite.
Yeah. Makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does. And these are just like real life things. You know what I mean? It's nothing to do with wrestling. Just be a good person, and things get better. And that's all it is. Be a good person, and good things will happen.
Nice, man. Nice. So, to wrap the interview up, I'd like for you to tell the fans and the listeners, where can fans and the listeners find you on social media? And do you have anything to plug?
At Shady Nattrass is my Twitter, and it's also my Instagram. Facebook.com/Shady Nattrass is my Facebook page. Also, I've got my YouTube channel, which is Shady Nattrass, and if you search for Pro Wrestling is Real Life, you'll find a new video every Wednesday. And also shadynattrass.bigcartel.com for my selection of merchandise. And also a little plug for Project Wrestling Unity. It's just a little brand that I put together to unite wrestling, because people don't like sharing stuff because everybody has ulterior motives. Oh, he's only sharing that wrestling event because he wants to be on it. He's only sharing that highlight video of that wrestler because he's the mate. No, it's good. Wrestling's good. Let everybody see.
Yeah.
So I do mainly use it just to share stuff. That's the point. Share it so more people see. And every wrestler on every show that they are on should be sharing the promotion's stuff. They should be sharing the friends stuff. So yeah, I'm constantly sharing stuff. People, like companies that I've never met before or worked with before, all over the world, because the internet. it's not just the people in the UK. It's everybody. So why not? Yeah, I just share everything there. So if I give them a follow, and they've got a big cartel as well, just with some fun t-shirts. It's not to make money. It's just, hey, if you want to buy a t-shirt, support us. So we can keep supporting everybody else. We actually sponsored the Wrestlers Lab show Alchemy on independent wrestling TV, IWTV. We sponsored some of that event, so it's nice to get our logo on the streaming service. So yeah, it's just all good. Everybody should just watch wrestling.
I agree with that, mate. I want to thank you for coming today. Wrestling is life. For everyone that has listened to this episode, I want you all to know that football is coming home. There'll be more episodes of What You Call It podcast coming out very soon. But for now, here is a word from my sponsors.